All right, Rick, tell us about these. First of all, Tale of a Great White Fish.
Well, you know, this is a response for us to try to create awareness for the next generation of British Columbians, kids who need to know about the sturgeon story. And, you know, the stewardship of these fish is going to take hundreds of years, and it's going to have to be a cultural trust or covenant that the province has. And we wanted to introduce a really cool story to kids. And this is a story about one hypothetical sturgeon who happens to survive all odds and lives to be about 200 years of age, and finally encounters the Sturgeon Society and becomes part of our tagging program.
I learned about sturgeons reading this to my son. I had no idea. I mean, you sort of hear about them, you know, the big fish, but I mean the details in the life cycle and everything.
And it's so important to pass that information on, especially to kids, so they understand when they come out here for the first time what the fish are all about and why it's important to treat them with respect.
That's true, and by following the story of the fish, they also learn about the fish as a symbol of a healthy ecosystem, which links back to healthy communities, healthy people. You know, if you don't treat, you know, watersheds like the Fraser River with respect, you know, clean water, you know, healthy balance between, you know, fish and what sustains them and what sustains people, then we can all be in trouble. And so you can become a wise steward to see good, solid economic growth, but balancing nature and you know, and the environment that we live in.
Yeah. And of course, the other book telling your story. What made you write your story in a kid's book?
Well, we think it's going to be, again, probably another 20 to 30 years before we'll be able to have communities fully accessible and to be able to find a cure so the next generation of Canadians walk away from a spinal injury. And so we wanted to introduce the beginning of the story to kids. You know, what was part of my background and, you know, nature and attitude about setting goals, chasing dreams, having the inspiration through fishing to decide to wheel around the world. And you know, and fishing
what
obviously.
What kind of crazy person would do
yeah,
that?
that's right. So they can realize that when you're out fishing, you have time to dream about big dreams, and you never know what happens, and you get to be with your family and do some amazing things.
Obviously, I know that the sort of big hallmarks in the story are true to your own, but what about, you know, the little things like running into a fence when you're going to fish and you're in your wheelchair? Is that stuff?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Yeah, when I was at university, all my buddies bailed out from a fishing trip, and I was feeling sorry for myself, thinking I couldn't go. And then I said, well, why don't I just go? And so I took off and put everything in my little Honda Civic and drove out, got to this dike, and there was a gate there, and I thought it was locked. And I thought, oh, now I got to go home again. I said, no, we got this far. So we got out, threw my fishing rod on the other side, flipped over the gate, pulled the wheelchair up from behind me, and dropped down into the wheelchair and wheeled down the dike, and then went through a barbed wire fence and through cow pies and thistles, and
took a little tumble,
and then took a tumble into the water, and managed to pull myself back up again, and you know, lived one of the greatest adventures when I thought just a few hours earlier I couldn't do it.
You never let anything stop you, do you?
Well, I do sometimes, but you know, not without at least a good effort for sure. And
that's such a good message.
And it's always just being vigilant, because so many times, you know, you talk yourself into reasons why you can't. Yeah. And it's happened to me, you know, and I have to always be vigilant, because, you know, it's a lifelong thing that you have to keep reassessing, and I think it's a good lesson for anyone in their world. You know,
absolutely.
If you have a goal or a dream, don't let, you know, your first instinct limit you.
Yeah. Well, and apathy too is that little thing that sneaks up on you sometimes. You know, and it can become a habit if you don't go, well, no, you know, I'm going to get through this for sure. Well, I know that kids react really well to it, because I read it to my son, who's a grand old 5 months old.
Oh, that's so cool. Well,
but I mean, it's that great message that, you know, as he reads that, as he sees it, the first time that he's old enough to recognize and encounter someone that's in a wheelchair, that will be his perception of them, not perceptions that he gets from, you know, other things or other societies.
Well, it's a good time to imprint good, positive attitudes when kids are learning, because they're so open and they're so pure in their motives and their thoughts.
Unprejudiced.
That's right,
That's the way to do it.
Well, a great couple of books to pick up. Of course, they're getting a little wet right now, so I'm going to put them away. And Mike has a dream, and it's to catch a giant sturgeon, so we got to get on that.
Actually, my dream is to get to take these home with me. Honey, I'm home.
There's a bottle of wine at the end.
Yay! The little guy.
first in the water. Excellent, Marlene.
Yay.
Well done.
Thanks, guys.